of the internet, my name is Jagero, and this is Dialogueswithjagero. Today, I'm in the studio with La Patrona. I have seen this lady online for a long time, and she's not somebody that is very friendly to men. She says what she wants.
Wow. Wow.
Okay. Should I take those words back?
Have I not been friendly to you?
Yeah, very.
Alafu? So
I'm just wondering because some of your posts I wake up in the morning and they're like, Konyali, where did she wake up from?
Shirley, I'm very nice. I'm a very nice person.
Are you?
Yeah. Even on my posts.
A lot of people say that you're nice when they finally meet you. But when you are online and they're reading from you, they're like, this is terror. The words are...
Which post specifically?
All of them. Most of them.
Really?
Want to know he's breadcrumbing you?
But I'm trying to save your women, from the toxicity in Nairobi.
Are you?
Yeah.
Do you think that Nairobi is a very toxic place for women? Or the world is a toxic place
the
for
world
women?
Generally, really.
Tell me, how so?
No, Jagero even, other than the love things, the world is inherently very violent to women, Femicide, every other day, a woman dies, rape happens. If you read the statistics, they'll tell you how many women get raped per day, how many women get killed per day all over the world. So, the world is very violent to women, And, and as they say, the home is the most dangerous place for a woman, So, it's not that I do not like men. It's that a man is the person who is most likely to murder you. Your partner, the man you choose to love.
Yeah.
Your spouse is the person who is most likely to murder you. And now when you look at the statistics of husbands who are killing their wives, men start to look like predators. It starts to seem like, we really date, we're the only species that dates.
I would say that one.
We might be the only species which are partners with our natural predators, Yeah.
I've seen that online, and I'm like, oh, I don't know whether that is true or not. Maybe.
Say if a woman dies, who is usually the first suspect?
The boyfriend?
Exactly, the boyfriend, the husband, the sexual partner, right? Yeah, and what does that mean? What does that tell you?
And if a man dies, who is the suspect?
You tell me.
The debate of women killing men, I think it has got it's backed by data and statistics, right?
Yeah.
And then sometimes I don't know how we should approach this conversation in a way that helps both genders, because sometimes I feel like we are tied so much to each other. One gender is very tied to the other gender. So in as much as we are saying that, okay, this is happening, but how do we move from this to this? How do we move from point A to point B to a place where La Patrona is not going to be afraid of the boyfriend or the husband? You want to get married someday?
Why do you want to get me in trouble with my family?
Why is your family going to be having trouble with that?
I don't know. Maybe they are waiting for some cows, and I might be here saying no, I'm never going to get married.
But you teach women online to do what they want.
Do I?
Yes, you teach women to go for what they want and to completely disagree and move away from what they don't want. You teach women that they should be bold in their decisions, and their life is basically in their hands.
No, Jagero, I've actually written like we overrate our personal agency. I've written things like control is an illusion. I've written things, for example, like the role of the family. I'm the person who was, as far as last week, there's this girl, I don't know if you know her, the Little Mermaid, and I wrote a post in regards to the fact that a lot of people warned her against the boyfriend, the ex-boyfriend, and she didn't listen. And now she's in court because he has been abusive, and they have a kid together, So, yeah, like, I do not believe women should other themselves from their families, from their aunties, from people who care about them. Like, no. I believe in community. I'm actually against individualistic behavior.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe in community. I believe in listening to older women in your life, Yeah.
Is that so?
Yes, because again, we also live in a society where women, a lot of times, we are told when an older woman advises us, you'll find young women say, you're jealous of me because you're older. Or you'll find men telling older women that, you guys, you're misleading young girls because, mmepitwa na wakati, you've hit the wall, And now you find that there's that conditioning where younger women are taught to see older women as people who are jealous of them. And it's very bad because older women have experienced life longer than you have. They know better, They know better. There are things you only learn through experience, Actually, like, I have never claimed I know everything. I'm also in a constant journey of learning. And yeah.
They follow you though. You're the boss. You're the La Patrona. You tell them everything and they follow you. They say, yes, ma'am, whatever you say.
No.
So that's why I'm asking you.
They do not follow me. That's why we debate, we argue, we disagree. And sometimes I acknowledge, like after, let's say, even a year or two, I do come back and say, like, yeah, I know, not that I've gotten older, I do see what you are saying to me here, Like, yeah, like I've learned a lot from my followers. I teach them and they teach me. It's a symbiotic relationship for sure.
Yeah. But then the question I was actually asking that I think you are obligated to answer.
Will I get married?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Be
No.
careful. Be careful, La Patrona. Be
No,
careful.
no, I've said severally. No, I do not think I'm cut out for marriage. Yeah.
What do you what do you think? What do you know about marriage? What do you think about marriage? What do you think? What makes you not be cut out for marriage? Do you feel like it's what's your idea of it?
I feel like marriage, it takes a lot from women, It requires a lot. It requires a lot of labor, emotional, financial, physical, sexual.
Physical.
Yeah. Or like in Christmas time, when women cry that they went to the in-laws and they were being woken up in the morning to go milk cows.
Oh, I see.
That's physical labor, And then we have the kids, until today, men do not participate a lot in doing household labor. That's still taken on, like a huge bulk of it is taken on by women, So yeah, like it's such considerations,
You're not gonna change your mind?
I do not really know.
There's a life of a woman that is married and she's not really going to be doing all those things. It's gonna be really love. It's going to be a lot of love. It's going to be a lot of yacht clubbing. It's going to be a lot of traveling. It's going to be good.
Jagero, again, what is it called? It's there's some things which are an illusion,
Illusion? Okay.
Especially as a person who is very class conscious, Most people, of course I know we live in a society where a lot of people believe that women always have some rich man to save them, which is not factual. Most people marry within their social class, right? Yeah, so as a working class woman, I'm most likely to marry a working class man. And depending on that class in which I exist in at the moment, I already know how marriages play out within that social class, right? So, yeah, and I don't see how, there'll be hope, traveling, what. Yeah.
Nilisikia mtu akisema online, let those young girls say, I'm not going to get married. Let them get old. They see how they're going to be lonely and feeling like shit. What do you think about when somebody says that? Do you think about your old age when you're 60 and you are, your body told you need a baby, you need a baby, you need a baby, you need a man, and then you reach that age and oh shit.
Jagero is what is it called? In my family, our parents had us, right? And we went to high school. Actually, most of us went to boarding in class 5. And then we went to high school, and then we proceeded to colleges and uni, right? And now most of us, we are either in colleges or in unis, or we're working away from home. So I think the thing about life is that you always end up alone. It's inescapable, Okay. Children cannot save you from loneliness. Like, I have seen people, my immediate neighbors, the kids move abroad, all of them, and it's just her and the husband, and then she loses the husband. So it's just her, And so I do not think like getting married because you are afraid of loneliness or having kids because you are afraid of ending up alone. I do not really think that's a life plan because you either end up putting a lot of burden on your children, you end up making them feel responsible for you as a parent, which is very heavy. Or let's say with the husband, people lose their husbands when they are very young, unfortunately, some of them even in their 30s, And I don't know, I think life is so uncertain. You can't know what will happen. But yeah, of course, the loneliness thing, I usually do think about it. That's why I told you I'm very huge on community. I'm very huge on, I say hi to my neighbor, Yeah, so, yeah.
Let's talk about your writing online.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a couple of them on Substack.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, you're asking me if I read your story. Mm-hmm. I didn't read the one you sent, but I read a lot of your Substack stories.
Uh-huh.
And you have a huge following on Facebook.
Yeah.
Like, how many? Right now you're at
51,000, I believe.
51,000.
Yeah.
As an individual, is a lot of followers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you've been writing very consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Where does it come from? Can we talk about a little bit about where you were born in this country? Where were you born?
In Meru.
In Meru.
Yeah.
Where in Meru? Tell me a little bit of that story. Are you one of those people that were going down the river every other weekend, listening to birds, and then suddenly found yourself in Nairobi? How does that story go? Tell me a little bit about it.
No, it's like most people, I came to Nairobi for school, know. Yeah, but in Meru, I'm a typical village girl,
Are you?
Yeah.
You don't write like a village girl. Peter, do you think she writes like a village girl?
I have fetched water from the river, actually, with my cousins, yeah.
Which river? Which river?
Okay. That's too...
Okay, let's go to the river. Well, I feel like you're more of a town girl, like...
No.
Or in Meru, you guys were living in a...
No, I'm very... What is it called? I'm a typical village girl. And yeah, I come from a very conservative family,
When you say conservative, what does that mean?
I mean, like, we are Christians. We are very... Yeah, of course, like, I feel like Kenya is a conservative society, right?
Mm.
Yeah, I come from a typical Kenyan family. Mm-hmm.
How many kids are you guys?
I am an only child.
Oh. hear there's a lot of privilege that comes with that. like it's in fact it's very important to me, and I want to pick your mind a little bit around that. I have a daughter, an only child, who is turning 10 next year.
Yeah.
Okay, and do you feel like would if you were, what would you advise me? Would you advise me to get another child?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like, for example, I'll use my mom as an example. She's, they're 5, where she comes from, right? And they're very close, I always say, even on Facebook, my aunties are my second moms, They take care of me as if I were their own. So there's that togetherness, that like these people do love each other a lot, So sometimes when I see them, especially, for example, if it's Christmas we're spending together, when they get together, it's like they revert back to how they were when they were young. They even forget we exist, There's a lot of friendship there, right? And yeah, like I find myself admiring that, Like I find myself like wishing, like, yeah, I wish I had this.
Do you feel lonely as the only child? Like,
yeah. There is loneliness in that. For example, if your parent is unwell, there's loneliness in that. And sometimes, there are things that I usually see people who have siblings saying that there's a way, it's only someone who you share a parent with that can truly understand who your parent is, not other people. So, sometimes, let's say if, like I do not have anyone to share my experiences with, because ultimately it's, I'm an only child. Yes, I do have cousins and we're very close, but you'll find my cousins, they'll be like, oh, your mom is our favorite aunt, So you realize, like, the perception they have of my mom is like this perception I have of their mom. Like they'll be like, oh, mommy is so hard on us, right? And for me, it'll be like, no, I love staying at your place, guys, And it's the same. So you realize, like, aunties are not experienced the same way as moms, right? So, and I do not have that shared experience with anyone. Yeah.
And so, well, I should ask this question. Did you ever complain to them that, like...
No, there's a consciousness you have as an older person, When you're a child, you're not thinking those things,
The tough questions.
Yeah, you're not thinking about it in this depth, that you think of when you're older now and you understand, like, there's that thing people say, like, for example, when your parents start aging, life starts with your parents taking care of you, and most times, because most time kids outlive their parents, right? So you end up being the person to take care of their parents, right? So so as you get older, start to gain that consciousness, For example, when, like, I see, like, my family, when I see them taking care of my parents, you realize, like, it's a lot of joint effort, right? And so, when that happens, you can't help but think, like, you feel like you have a responsibility. It's not here yet, but through life, you're preparing for a responsibility, which will be yours one day, So,
And do you feel like they overprotect you?
Yes.
How so?
What is it called? Yes, for example, I was very sickly as a kid. Okay. I still am. So, my mom remembers we argue about me wearing a sweater, you'll sneeze, you'll cough, They remember that. Like, she has that desire. I want you to be okay, I want you to be fine, right? if I am out and it's 7 p.m., she'll call me. Where are you? I don't want you to stay out because it's cold and you did not carry a sweater, or, it's not safe for you out there. Please come home, or, yeah.
And you're thinking, Mom, I'm okay. And she's not like, you're not okay. I'm the one who can say that you're okay. So you can tell your parents that you're okay. They are the ones that should tell you, now we think you're okay.
Yes, there's that, Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I am overprotective of that child, and I'm just thinking, gosh, she's only one. She's all we got.
Yeah.
And
if something happened to her, of course and of course we also live in a society where parents who have only one kid, they're always being told, oh, what if something happens to her? What if get another one just in case, They never understand. I don't think you can replace one kid with another, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like even if you had 3 and you lost one, you will still have a lot of grief, right? So, yeah, but there is that,
How did you decide that you want to be writing on Facebook, and especially coming out? I keep saying very forcefully, but you would disagree, but you're a very forceful writer, like sometimes bordering on aggressive, like telling people, this is what you need to know. How did you become a writer? Did you think about it when you were in school? How did you realize that this is something that I can do and I can do it really well?
Yeah, like I was good at composition writing from when I was in primary. In high school, I was very good at literature. I loved those things. And yes, I did know I loved writing from when I was very young. Writing on Facebook, how did it happen? I always had the desire to write, but I never knew the starting point, There's always, you write one sentence, but then you overthink it, So the good thing about Facebook is Facebook allows you to express your thoughts, right? So yeah, I just started expressing my thoughts in tiny paragraphs when I was 20, 21. Yeah, and the paragraphs grew longer. So yeah.
What is your inspiration every time before you write something? What is the inspiration? You've watched something on the internet, you've watched something on YouTube, on TikTok, or on Facebook, or you've read a book? Where is the inspiration that comes before you launch into writing?
First of all, I am a woman.
Okay.
And some more, like for me, the basis of my whole writing, it was my lived experience as a woman, as a woman living in a patriarchal society,
Patriarchal society?
Yeah. And like I told you, also come from a very conservative family, I told you that. So my starting point of writing, it was a way to express myself. Again, being an only child, it means I spent a lot of time alone. As a child, as a young adult, I still spend a lot of time alone,
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah. I did spend a lot of time alone by myself. I'm not very outgoing still. So writing was a way of expressing myself. It was a way of, I also now have a very strong sense of justice, I hate anything unjust. I love fairness, So for me, writing began as a way of, as a way of interrogating inequality, and that has been the basis of my writing. So when I say like womanhood is my inspiration, because I also interact with other women, I read from other women, I listen to other women's experiences, I listen to how men talk about women, how men write about women, it's, like womanhood is what inspires me. Yeah.
You think that women generally are in danger?
Yes, Jagero. Yes. Yes, actually, when I was young, I thought my parents were controlling, because I did not understand, like, why can I not go out? Why am I not allowed to go out for sleepovers, you know? Why am I not allowed to do this? Why must you pick me up from school, you know? I always felt very controlled, and I always wanted freedom, you know? But now when I became an adult, you know, and I started living by myself, I finally understood that they were not being controlling. They were being protective of me because they understood what it means. They understood, like, there's a lot of rape, you know? I feel like there's a while back I read the story of this girl who went for a sleepover at a friend's house, but it was in the US, and the dad dragged the girls, you know, on a sleepover. So you finally understand, like, yeah, my parents were not being controlling by not letting me go for a sleepover at a friend's house, you know. They will say, like, oh, a friend from school has invited me, you know. You realize they were not being controlling. It's just that they understood the consequences. They understood the danger that lies in allowing you to go for sleepovers, in allowing you to go out, you know, in allowing you to probably stay out late, you know. So, yeah. Girls and women everywhere are in danger. Because I also remember when I was in primary school, we used to be catcalled as kids who are wearing school uniforms, you know? So even as a woman, you become very conscious of that you live in a society which is very violent to you when you're very young, because from as far as when you're even in class 4, class 5, you know if you see a group of men, a group probably of border riders, or a group of high school boys, you know, like, you would rather take the longer route home because, you know, if you pass next to them, it's going to be very violent to you, you know? And, you know, like, a lot of these people, they're essentially adults, you know? They have no business catcalling 10-year-olds, you know, 12-year-olds, right? So there's that consciousness from when you're little, you understand that there's a lot of violence. It's just that when now you grow up and you become responsible for yourself, that's when you truly now get what your parents were saying, but yeah, you cannot go out.
I was talking to Bobby last year about that, last week, about that specific case. And I asked her this question. I don't know how you're going to respond to it. So there is the idea of your mama telling you that do not go to John's house or this person's house. And then your mother also telling you that don't go walking on this street alone at night. And then accepting that and saying, I will not do it. And then there is also the other idea that we should, as women, actually walk those dark streets without anything happening to us. So what would you tell your sister? Like, don't go to a man's house, or tell men not to attack women? Which one is it?
You know, here's the thing. The problem comes here. It's, let's say when a woman is raped or attacked, you find there are a lot of men on social media who have a lot of advice for us, you know. Don't do this, you got raped because you are walking on this path where doing this, blah, blah, blah. What they usually don't understand is that we know these things, you know. They have been told to us ever since we were girls, you know. We know. So the disconnect comes here that I do not want a man to lecture me about safety, because each day I'm conscious about my safety. My Uber, I have safety contacts that receive an alert of my ride every day, each time I take a ride, you know.
You have what?
Safety contacts. Uber allows you to have safety contacts. You're not even aware of that because you're a man, you know, you're not aware of that. But yeah.
Tell me about how it works.
Yeah.
Tell me about how it works. Actually, I really want to know. How does it work, the safety contact?
It's, you don't, how have you never seen that setting on Uber? How have you never seen that setting?
So just tell me how it works. Like so you get an Uber and then?
And then, like, on the app, there is a place where you have your safety contacts. And so you add to trusted people.
On the app?
Yes.
Okay.
And now if you're on a ride, you just tap share and they will receive the link on their WhatsApp or through text that, let's say, La Patrona is on this ride, she will arrive at this time.
Okay.
Yes.
And does it tell you that you have arrived? Does it tell those people that, oh, she arrived fine? Does it?
Yeah, no, again, it's, of course, it's up to you. Of course, it will tell them, like, the ride has ended. But, it's up to you, again, not to text your friend, like, yeah, I'm home safe, We always have to do, as women, we always have to do that thing. I am home safe, especially if it's at night and you have taken a ride, Because, again, we have also had, like...
the people that you are, for example, hanging out with, you tell them that I'm home safe.
Yes.
Yet, I was in Ruiru and I've not talked to the guy since I left his house. And he's not called.
They actually get very angry. Like, for example, if you guys go out at night and you get drunk and you get home, but you don't text them, yeah, like they will get very angry because you got me worried, Because we live in a country where a woman can get into an Uber and that is it, The next time she'll be in a ditch somewhere, dead. And the reason as to why we also have those safety contacts, it's like when we're going on a date with a new person, you have to text that person's face, details, and, being a woman...
Whose face?
The guy. Let's say I'm going out with you, and it's the first time we're meeting. I have to text your photo to my friend.
Where are you taking my photo without me, without my knowledge?
Your contact information.
Let's go back to the photo thing. How does that work? You just like...
See, you have photos on social media. Or a lot of people have photos on their profile, on WhatsApp, or on social media.
I see. So you don't like take it like this?
No, because again, you send the photos before you went to the date,
Oh, I see.
And yeah, so you have to inform your friends, like, I'm going out with this guy. If I disappear, no, it's X and X, this phone number, he's where he works here. You give them the details.
Really?
And then you tell them, and sometimes we even joke, like, in case I die, make sure I get justice. We say it jokingly, but it's because we know it happens. We know women go for dates and that's it. That's the last time they are staying alive, And we know it can happen to any one of us, So we are always doing due diligence in our lives, Like, even in the morning when I'm going for my runs, I have to text my friend, I've gone for my run. I will text you. If I do not text you in 2 hours, you shall be worried.
That's really new information, actually.
I'm surprised you do not know there is a safety contact thing on Uber. Like,
I know. You know what? I know that you can share your ride. You can share your details of the ride with somebody else. But actually, it's called a safety ride.
You can have permanent safety contacts.
All right.
Yeah.
Because what I have seen on Uber is that when you are trying to get an Uber from a place where you are not at, it will prompt you, is this for someone else? And then you'll say yes. The moment you say yes, they will ask you for that person's contact. And
no. Like, if you go to your settings right now, you can place, like, do you want to add safety contacts? And they will always be there. Like, I've had mine for the last 4 years, maybe.
So even the ride that you took here, you shared it?
Yes. Because it's a consistent practice, You learn.
Maria, do you share your Uber?
Yeah,
Actually, really, I'm really taken aback by this. That women actually do this every other day. They take an Uber.
Because, Jagero, you will die out here and people will be on social media slut-shaming you. Yeah, they'll be like, she probably refused to pay for the Uber. That's why she was killed, Because, again, we also live in a world where even in death, women, their dignity is not even respected in death, Like, when a woman dies, we don't just have to call out femicide. We also have to defend their humanity, Like, where was she going at night? And so, yeah. So, like, yes, the question that you asked, yes, I will I would advise my sister, my daughter, if I had any, on safety things, but I shouldn't have to do that, you know?
Okay.
That's the thing, like, no. So that's why we're here to be lectured by men, you know? Because our moms already told us these things, our aunties or grandmothers, like, we already know. We live in a state of surveillance, you know? That's why it's...
A state of surveillance.
Like, where you are constantly thinking about your safety, you know? Sometimes, because sometimes you're even walking and there's someone behind you, you know? Your heart skips a bit, you know? So with men, that's what we usually say, like, with men, it's your duty now to hold each other accountable, not to lecture women on safety, because we live the reality of being a woman in this world every day. There's nothing more I can do than what I already do, you know? And still, that does not make sure that I'll remain safe, you know? So, yeah.
I feel really lectured, and in a good way. I mean, that one has really taken me aback. The idea of safety things. I don't know why my wife is not sending me, but yeah, she mostly drives.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that even because she drives, she should be able to tell me where she is at, right?
You know, the thing, what makes Ubers unsafe, it's the drivers. Don't you remember there's a time that they launched the women, like the rides which are women-only rides?
Yeah.
And now you also see like they're more expensive than the regular rides. So
They are more expensive.
yeah, so it's like women are practically being charged for safety. You know?
Why would they be more expensive?
I don't know. They are expensive. They're more expensive. You can look at the app. They're always more expensive.
A woman-only ride is more expensive?
Yes.
I wonder why. Or it's a man's job.
Or you remember when the Uber drivers decided, it was too expensive. Okay, they decided that their apps were, what is it called? They decided that they were going to charge more than what the apps indicate, right? This time they were adding
they were
a 15%, right?
Yeah.
You remember those days? First of all, there is no man who came on social media and complained that I was locked inside the car. But for us women, a lot of women, men, like the drivers, the male drivers, they locked us in cars. For me, I actually remember at some point last year, I went to Westlands to take a friend of mine out for his birthday. It was his birthday. I went to Westlands to take him out. And I had an appointment with my dentist that afternoon at Garden City at 3. So after the lunch at 2, I took an Uber, and my friend walked me to the Uber. I got in. When we got to the highway now, because I was in Westlands, I was going to Garden City, he started telling me, you have to add this amount. And you know, he never told me when we talked about Ukwapi, I'm here, you know? He never raised the issue. He said, you will have to add this amount. When I looked at my phone, he had already canceled the ride. So, according to Bolt, the app, I had not taken the ride, and yet I was in this man's car in the middle of the highway, and he was saying I will have to add the amount. So when I realized that he had already canceled the ride and there's nothing indicating I'm with him at that particular point in time, what did I say? I was like, okay, because you are in the middle of the highway, this person canceled the ride the moment you left, but you did not notice, you know, it's not as if you're on the phone, you know, to realize like, yeah, this ride is not on. And now they decide to ask you when you're in the middle of the ride, in the highway. That's when they tell you like, yeah, you know, you have to add 15%. But now because you understand the vulnerability of what's going on, you agree, you know, because again, I had read a lot on Twitter of women who had been locked in vehicles, women who had been left in weird places.
So when you told
because
him
they had resisted.
he just sang. He just started singing and
yeah, the ride went on as it happened. For me, that's the day I deleted Bolt from my phone.
Can I ask you something? Do you no longer use Bolt?
Yeah, because even at that point, like, there had been a lot of complaints on social media about the app, right? So yeah, for me, that was the last day.
Did you really feel like you were in real danger when he told you that? First of all, I want to ask you a question. When you realized that the ride is cancelled, what did you think about it? like, did you think about deeply about it? Why is the ride cancelled? Did you think it's about the money or it's something else?
Of course, of course I did think it's about the money, but now I thought like, if you've cancelled the ride, it means you'll not be sharing the profits with the app, right? Because they do not know you have me. So what I asked myself is, what sort of grade is this that first, you have cancelled the ride, but still you also want to charge me the 15% apparently that the app takes, right? And then I realized, like, if someone is capable of that, it means they are already very unethical, like it's a moral failure in itself, Like if the ride was on and, like, I always tip because sometimes I feel like those trips are so cheap, and I will not pay an adult 150 shillings for a ride or, I always tip, So even if he had asked me for the extra money while on the ride, but with the trip on, I would have agreed because somehow it would have made sense because sometimes there are a lot of, what are they called? Like sometimes they are so cheap.
Yeah, they're just too cheap. Like, sometimes it comes to 180 and you're like, you're stayed in traffic.
Yeah, I would have. But now if someone has already cancelled the ride, so they will be getting the full amount without sharing with the cab, but they're still asking me for money. Like, for me, that becomes an ethical issue. I cannot trust you as a person now, because it's no longer about you wanting fairness. It's now about you, like it's
taking and being greedy about
something. Like it's you being corrupt. And when an individual is corrupt in their ethics, in their morals, Yeah, like when there's that breach of trust,
Yeah.
It's hard for me to think of you in good light,
In Luo culture, when you're doing nothing about a situation, they're saying that you're the rain hitting on the ocean. Do you sometimes think that all these voices of women out here are making any change? Do you guys feel frustrated that you guys talk and nothing happens, or you've got hope?
Yeah, of course I feel frustrated a lot, especially, because especially for a while now it's been feeling as if we are regressing with the growth of the red pill culture. There's a lot There's a lot of online violence. I
want to ask you about red pill culture. What do you think about it? People like Alit, have you read any of his books? a lot of women.
No comment.
Why would you say no comment?
Like, no, I guess because you are being very, what is it called? You're being very specific.
Oh, specific. Okay, let's not be specific.
Yeah.
Let's not be specific.
Yeah.
Even Kibe asked me if he's a red pill movement, and he denied completely. He said, I am not a member of the red pill community. People slapping me with those titles should be ashamed of themselves. I do not know those people. But then let me ask you a very general question, if you think that would be nice. What do you think about the general red pill community? Do you think that they are making men better?
No. Because, it's, even let's use an example here in Kenya, For example, there's a lot of unemployment, And a lot of young people are unemployed, both men and women, And there's a lot of poverty again. A huge section of Kenyan, like a majority of Kenyans are actually either working class or poor. And even with the working class people, a lot of people live either salary to salary or hand to mouth. You get, I understand the poverty. But now what I find curious is we know our problems are very systemic, But now, because men are not willing to hold governments accountable for, corruption, bad governance, they direct all their violence to women, They imagine they are broke because of slave queens. They imagine they are unemployed because women are screwing men to get jobs, And so all their problems, they make them women's issues, And now you find now with the red pill, they take advantage of that with like the red pill bros, like the content creators, right? They take advantage of the fact that we are living in very terrible economic times, like since COVID, the economy has been really horrible, right? And now they take advantage of the fact that we have a lot of frustrated young men, and they weaponize their anger, Of course, they are all those red pill people, they have YouTube channels which need views, they have books which need to be sold,
Books that need to be sold.
They have courses, I don't know, some even sell online courses, they have classes, At the end of the day, it's capitalism, in itself. It's profit making. And what are they making profit of? Violence towards women. So you realize, they're not making men better. They're actually making men very shallow because, issues can be dissected with more depth, You're not unemployed because women are taking all your jobs. Because if you look at data, you'll realize even young women are more likely to be unemployed as compared to young men, right? You realize unemployment is affecting everyone. It's affecting women, it's affecting men. It's a social problem, and it's a social problem that's as a result of bad governance, And sometimes if there is no, money in circulation, again, it's also corruption issues, But now they escape that. They refuse to reflect on that. They refuse that complexity. They refuse that nuance. And now they direct all their violence towards, women. And now they're told women are to blame. It's women who are taking your jobs, not these things of sex for jobs. No one should be asking interviewees, no one should be asking young graduates to sleep with them for jobs, That in itself is coercion, if a person who is desperate, and you start asking them for sex when you're in a position of power, that's a form of coercion. So for them, even when women are being harassed, even when women are being coerced to offer sexual favors, they think it's some form of privilege when it's not, even as women, we want to exist in a world where I can walk and do an interview and get a job based on merit without being expected to offer sex to back my merits up. Because again, even in those sex for jobs thing, it's not as if they ever employ women who are not qualified. It's always a graduate who also, apart from graduating with good grades, you now also have to offer your body up, right?
Okay.
And they also never notice these inequalities because they are so tied up in their victim complex of blaming women who are already, women in themselves are already oppressed now. Socially, they also suffer from government failure. And now we also have to deal with violence from men, When in reality, if we had some form of solidarity with each other, we'll probably have a better chance at holding the key oppressor accountable. But no, again, it also keeps people distracted from their real issues, the red pill thing, Now, instead of fighting the real problem, they focus on sideshows, and now, they become violent to women.
Yes.
Suddenly, we have the male loneliness pandemic, and the people who are...
What pandemic?
The male loneliness pandemic.
Male loneliness pandemic.
Yeah, because you have alienated women.
What is male loneliness pandemic?
Apparently, it's happening in the West, I hear.
Okay, what is it? Can you explain to me what it is?
Apparently, men are having less sex. A lot of men are not getting laid. Incels, you've heard of incels.
Yeah.
There's a type I read, I don't know who was saying, young intelligent boys are not getting the chance to get laid, and it's turning them
into
incels,
What is that?
And those red pill guys who become not very bitter towards women,
Okay.
Again, we also see them in Kenya, for example.
Okay.
You'll find them saying, women, we're not having women because they only want rich men. You will hear them on social media.
You don't think so? You don't think women are living this voice that have no mafuta?
Jagero, I told you earlier, most people date within their social class, you know?
Okay.
For example, I go to uni, and kids are dating each other in uni, right? If you go to any profession, you'll find lawyers dating each other, right? You'll find doctors dating each other, you know? Because how will you meet, how am I, as, for example, a student, how am I going to meet some rich person when I do not even have access to the spaces they are in? That's the first thing, you know? Why are you even meeting these people? Is it, you know? So like, yeah, most people date the people who are in their proximity, right? The people they hang out with oftenly, you know? So the whole idea that women are only interested in rich men, like even if you go to the village, like the poorest man you know has a wife and kids.
Yeah.
You know? Like inakwanga upuzi. It's like also, it's another thing I always wonder about men. Do we exist in a different society? Because some of these things, it's a question of observation, you know? Like, women are only interested in rich men. Okay, do you come from a family? Observe. Do you have neighbors? Observe the couples who are married to each other. What social, how many are married to extremely rich men, you know? Again, how many rich men do we have in this country that can go around all women for all of us to have preference for rich men? You know? That's, again, the lack of nuance, lack of complexity. It's being shallow, really. Yeah. And it's a failure to take accountability. Because sometimes maybe women do not like you because you have a terrible personality. They don't like you probably because you're rude, you're misogynistic, you're violent, you know? Maybe it's a personal thing. Because I feel like boys who have charisma, like, and good personalities, they always bag women, whether they are poor or not.
You think so?
Why are rich men scared of gym guys? See, I always see like when women go to the gym, there is always someone who is like, utagongewa.
Kwa gym.
Yeah. Like, it's never a money thing, you know? Women want to be with people who treat them well, people who, you know, who respect their humanity, you know?
Treat them well.
Yeah, but so where someone is there saying women are meant to be
in the kitchen,
or women are meant to be controlled, and you're wondering, why are you single? Like, you're wondering, like, I'm single because women want rich men, and it's probably who you are that's the problem.
You said you have good questions for me.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready.
So earlier today, I was scrolling through Twitter, and this man says, you know, some side chicks usually take things a little bit far.
Side chicks?
Side chicks, yeah. And he's like, why are you on Instagram liking my girl's pics? And now my question was this. Why do men like making women the gatekeepers of morality? You know, like, why do immoral men like making women the gatekeepers of morality? In that, you are cheating, but you're acting as if it's the person you're cheating with who is the problem, you know? And if you are not cheating, the side chick will not exist, you know? Right? And it's also, even beyond that, you know, you'll find like sometimes men complaining about prostitution, you know? And yet they are the people who keep the businesses running, you know? You know, we wouldn't have supply without the demand, you know? So if they decided, for example, we're not going to pay for sex anymore, they would kill the industry, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But they would rather pay for sex and come on social media to write long posts for us about how women lack morals, even though they are paying for sex. Like even OnlyFans, the subscribers, the main target market for OnlyFans, it's men. But you'll find the same men complaining about OnlyFans, even though they are the market being catered for, you know? even the advertising industry, it caters for men, by putting naked women in posters and all that. So, yeah, my question is, if men are so moral and so concerned about morality, why do they never step in to make sure the world is a moral place? Why would they rather be immoral and dictate and, complain about women being immoral, even though they themselves are extremely immoral? Yeah.
I don't know. It's a hard question, though. I think it goes back to do as I say, don't do as I do. Like, for example, I expect you to be, don't ask questions when I'm sleeping with another girl, even though you are my girlfriend. But I don't expect you to go and sleep with other men. So I think it is. I think it is about do as I say, but don't do as I do. And I think it is probably it is also the way men view women as sex objects. So then I am not a sex object, but you are. So there is a way I expect you to behave. A politician berating a guy for not returning change.
But you can see the hypocrisy there, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Not a little bit. Like, if I have a problem with prostitution, I will not pay for sex. Yeah, like, if men wanted, they would end the prostitution industry. OnlyFans will be, like, if they all pulled out their cards, if they all decided to, keep money in their purses, we will not have OnlyFans, we will not have the sex work industry, all of it. But they would rather keep these things going. And they do not even have the, what is it called? The honesty. They do not have enough integrity, to not act morally superior.
Yeah. I think so. I
feel like they do not have the moral authority to lecture anyone about morals.
You meant to lecture women about morals.
Yeah.
Between men and women, who do you think is more immoral? Is it just human problem, right? You think it's just a human problem? Morality is just a human problem. Do you believe that you should stay with one man, or you believe you can, when you find a guy at the gym, you can do something and like they do it, go do it, wash, get into the bathroom, put on your lipstick and say, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong.
Anyway.
I mean, I smoked cigarette. What's so wrong about that? I mean, smoked a cigarette, slept with him. Yeah, just one time.
If I have a partner and we are in a monogamous relationship, right? And, monogamy is built on the idea that we are going to be faithful to one another, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wonder, at what point do we write those rules, monogamy rules? At what point do we write them? Because we never discuss them. We just meet, say, I like you.
You don't discuss them? Who doesn't discuss them?
No. Do you discuss
Like,
them?
in my generation, we do.
You discuss?
Yeah.
What is your generation, Gen Z?
Yeah.
You ask a man, are you monogamous?
Let's say if you're getting into a relationship, we are going to discuss, is this monogamous?
You do discuss that?
Yeah.
No, you don't discuss that.
We do. Or I do.
But how about your friends? Do they? All right, people of the internet, I hope that you're enjoying this episode very much. And I just had a break to tell you about my new book. Everybody says that there is no job. And that is true. Also, that was me 10 years ago. The problem is that everybody is trying to get a job in their town, in their city, in their marketplace. They ask friends for jobs, mothers call uncles, uncles call brothers, but there are no jobs. Let me tell you what no one is telling you. Jobs migrated online. What I actually mean is there are many, many jobs around the world and there is no one to do them.
except you. I work for Americans myself. I work for Europeans. I work for the Chinese. I work for the Australians. I work for the Canadians. And so, because I have done so much for myself, I said to myself, you know what? I should compile what I've been doing for the last 15 years. So in 2024, I wrote a digital book called Goldmine 18 Hustles for Africans. And then in 2025, AI came. People say AI is taking away our jobs. And for me, I'm going to say false. There are actually AI jobs. Jobs are not being taken by AI, but there are new jobs online that are there because of AI. Now, mimi ni nani? I created more jobs. And for now, in my new book, we have 25 online and offline jobs that you can leverage on if you do not have a job. So in this powerful volume 2, I share 25 new actionable online hustles specifically researched and tailored for Africans. My new book provides clear step-by-step guidance drawing from my extensive experience and research, including the mistakes I've made and lessons I've learned over the 15 years that I have worked online. So, what can you do online? You can become an executive assistant for busy folks in Europe, America, Canada, and get paid for tasks like watching videos and taking online surveys. Okay? You can build a lot of things. Build a business as a virtual assistant, start an e-commerce shop without capital, be an affiliate marketer, or you can also become actually an English tutor and tens of AI jobs. If you have a job, that is fine. But I also know that you can buy this book for that brother, for that sister, for that mother, for that cousin, for that husband who is watching Netflix all day at home. Buy it for your friend who is always asking for cash. You know that friend. Now, all the information is on the description below. You can also inbox me, you can WhatsApp me, or go to my website, which is odworjagero.co.ke. And now, back to programming.
Yes, because I even always tell my followers, like, discuss. You don't want someone to gaslight you at some point down the line. We never said I'm not allowed to sleep with other people. So for clarity, you have to ask them from the UN, are we monogamous or are we seeing other people?
My goodness.
And yeah, you make a choice, you know? Yeah.
I don't think Generation X do that. I don't think so.
For us, we talk about everything. I've actually seen millennials saying dating, like being with Gen Zs is a little bit hard because these kids want to talk about everything. It was actually in regards to hookup culture. I saw this babe saying, you know, you come, you hook up with these boys, these Gen Z's generation, and now if you do not text them later, it's a problem for them because they expect you to do check-in, an emotional check-in, you know?
What is an emotional check-in? Because you must know what an emotional check-in is. What is an emotional check-in?
Are you home? How are you? How are you? Is this connection healthy for you? You know, such things. So yeah, for us, we are huge on communication. Yeah.
And a lot of texting.
For us, we are huge on clarity. Hatutaki confusion, sisi.
Oh, you're huge on clarity.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's a good word to use. Clarity.
Yeah, we want to know, are you monogamous or do you want to sleep around? So, yeah, we want to know, what am I getting into?
Which other question do you have?
I think there's a day I wrote something online, and it was about, of course, there's in the internets, in the internets,
interwebs.
Yeah, I've been seeing this young woman, who is dating a cabinet secretary, right? And she's apparently the third wife, you know. Of course, we have all these people who focus too much on her, you know. people are always trying to make a lot of rules for women. She's so loud. She should not be behaving this way. Of course, there are all those rules. But now, the other day I was thinking about it. I don't know what I saw on social media, and I thought, like, imagine being a university student, and one day your dad, who is in his 60s, 70s, is running around with some young woman, and tabloids are writing about him, and people know he's your dad, and you have, like, yes, he's your dad. He has, let's say, the agency to do whatever he wants, right? Because I saw people saying you should not question what your fathers are doing. Yes, I agree. They do have the agency, but now, when there's actions, the actions they're putting out there socially, if they're affecting the kids, it becomes a problem. Like, now my question is, like, do men ever think about the well-being of their kids and families when they do certain things? Do they ever, because men also destroy legacies, for some cheap sex, you have a wholesome family.
For some cheapsters.
You have a wholesome family, but you choose to be promiscuous. You are given many chances. You still keep choosing to be promiscuous, and you end up losing your family, right? So yeah, like, I'm wondering, like, what is it about sex that makes men destroy their reputation, their legacies, their family? It makes them even harm their children mentally, emotionally, because, when you are a parent, I'm not a parent yet, but if I had kids, I would always, like, even the things I put out there, I would always want to be, like, I would not want, for example, to come and insult their father on social media, because these kids have to go to school, and the internet is so accessible, to the rest of the world. And I don't want my kids to have to navigate that. So yeah, like, do men ever think of anyone beyond
themselves?
Beyond themselves,
I think...
Actually, even that is, like, if they thought about themselves, they would make better choices. Like, do they ever think of what's good for them beyond sexual satisfaction,
I think the first question you're asking yourself is, do they have a relationship with those kids?
Okay.
Do they love them? Do they appreciate them?
Mm-hmm.
Because we know that there are fathers that they were not really interested in having children in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes children is just a product of sex. It's not something that you're really looking for. A child is not a university degree that you have to go and put your head down and put your feet in cold water for 4 years or 6 years to learn. It's a matter of minutes, even seconds. Yeah, so the first thing, and I think these are, for example, the person we are talking about here is Generation X. My father is a Gen X, was a Gen X, for example. And women, sometimes men always bundle women and children together. They don't know shit about life. We are the ones who know about life, and we are going to lead this life. This is our race. We are going to run it the way we want. This is our marathon. Mm-hmm. So if you look at it even deeply, you'll find that there is no much relationship between the father and those kids. And perhaps even by the time he's doing all these crazy things, they were in political rallies throughout their lives. Their kids don't know them. And also they don't know those kids. And so they are just perfect strangers. And so he's going to go and find love from this young woman, perhaps. But is it really love? It is something else. But I think sometimes men can put themselves in a situation whereby they become very empty. Nobody pours into them. The kids are like you abandon us and married politics. The wife is you're always coming home. Like we know drivers of politicians complaining that they can't sleep because this guy is just gallivanting the whole place. He's in Nakuru, he's in Mombasa, he's in Kisumu. He's going through to these rallies and forgotten about their family. So I think they're just strangers. So you are looking for your next high after getting the political seat. You have got two women that don't respect you, that don't love you, that you're just basically a provider for them. You're like the government. So if you have a family that looks at you like the government, you see, you are constantly looking for this young, beautiful woman from Meru called Karimi, who can just look at me and say I love you without bothering me. And so and then they go in with that. They go in with that.
But the truth is, of course, like it's not just politicians who do that. Like even regular men.
Yeah.
Especially when the kids get older, they graduate, they start getting married. You find like a man who has been a family man, suddenly he's gotten some 26-year-old pregnant.
You see,
and now he's starting over in his 50s.
That is the thing. I think we are not even properly defining what a family man is. And I don't think a family man in the classic sense of the word, in traditional sense of the word, should be a man who has kids and a wife. He's not a family man. A family man is somebody who respects that institution.
Yeah, true.
In a certain way.
Yeah.
So you are calling him a family man. He's not a family man.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so then when he started doing these crazy things, he thinks how he thought you're a family man. But there was no clarity. You remember you talked about clarity?
Again, another thing, when these older men, when they date young women, I don't know a single... First of all, youth is beautiful. That's one thing.
Youth.
Yeah, youth is beautiful.
Yeah.
That's one. Secondly, men usually assume they're the only people who see beauty. But even for us, women, we see beauty. Like, young men are good looking, You want to walk beside them,
But that's about it.
Yeah.
A lot of women just say that's about it.
Yes.
You're just a trophy, but can't do shit.
Yeah, but
Can't take me to Zanzibar.
But still, even us women, like, we value youth, we value...
Do you?
Yes. For example, if I have never felt... Like, when I'm out, for example, on dates with some good-looking young man, it feels normal,
30 years. Feels normal, yeah?
Exactly. But if, like, of course, like, I've met other men who have asked me out, my first thing is... I cannot be seen with you in public.
Really?
I'm not willing to be seen.
So that's why you guys go to Mombasa with them and then they take these photos where they are not being seen. This is their thumbs that are being seen on the camera.
They're the photographers. Like, no.
They're the photographers.
You don't want to be seen with them because you're a grandfather, Me, because if I'm in the club and some older guy who has a Bailey and, you can tell this person is pushing 40 and going to 50.
You consider 40 a grandfather?
Yes.
How old are you, like Patrona?
Yes.
20 what? Huh?
Yes. So for me, if you're pushing...
Come on, 40,
like for me, anyone who is past the age of 35...
come on.
First of all, they are not youth. According to government standards, they are not youth. If you're above 35, you're not a youth. By government standards, if you're over 35, you're not a youth. You're an elder.
Come on.
You're a middle-aged man. You're a middle-aged man.
Okay.
So for me, even if I'm in a club and it's a man who is pushing 40...
Pushing 40?
who is trying to hit on me, it shocks me, and then it disgusts me. Like, you should be out there with your family.
Come on, out there with whose family? Which family?
You should not be in a club, Kwanza Sasa, trying to hit on young women. You should be with your family.
Doing what? Sleeping?
You should be, I don't know, doing family things. Or if you are not married, you should be hanging out like those clubs which are for older people. We don't go there.
The one that play rumba.
Yeah. And even I as a person, again, I'm also socially conscious. I think there's a time last year, I went somewhere along Gong Road, I believe. We went there with a friend of mine, and the crowd, you could tell like these are 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds. And we felt so out of place, We had to leave because we looked around and realized like this is not our crowd.
That is not our.
We are too old for this.
That is our. You look really good with a 40. You would look really good with a 40-year-old man.
No, I'm not willing to be seen in public.
With a 40-year-old man is young. Damn. Why do you want to...
I'm saying...
why do you want to...
Even anyone above 30, at 31 to 35, Apple, it's compromising, and you also have to be fit. You have to have a nice body, you know? I don't want to be out in public and people are like, it's giving married. You know, there's that marriage board, you know? Like there's the body of a married person. You can know, you know?
Surely.
So if you're giving married, I cannot be seen in public with you. Even if you're over 30,
you're missing out.
You have to have kept yourself fit.
You're missing out.
Missing out on what?
That's where love is. That's where beauty is.
No,
you're going to be running around with 25-year-old men who know nothing about life. They're not going to teach you anything. What are they going to teach you? La Patrona, what are they going to teach you? What are they going to teach you? Nothing.
Why do I want to be taught by men?
I know that. I knew that's where you were going.
That's the role of my aunties, you know? The women, like, you know, you're supposed to be ushered into adulthood by the women, by the older women in your life, right? Those are the people who usher you into womanhood, not men.
Those ones are feeling bad in their households.
The most men can actually do. Men actually exploit young women.
Do they? How?
Men exploit young women.
They pamper them, don't they?
Pamper them with what?
With good things.
Actually, you know.
Oh, money?
What money? They're actually...
Saloon?
They actually date university girls who are probably either from poor backgrounds.
Poor.
And, you know...
But apokwa poor apana.
Yes, I've actually witnessed it because I'm also a young woman who has gone to Kenyan universities. So I know a few things about the dynamics.
Can I cut you short? Mm-hmm. I wonder how they get them, though. How do they get them? The women in college, they drive there and hang around the school in
yes, for example, there's a time when I used to live at Kwetu, Hurlingham.
Okay.
You know? And
you're a rich kid.
And Apple, there's a Shell petrol station and a Mag and Bean. You'll always find older men there who have parked very huge cars. You'll always find them there. And a lot of times I would buy something and there'll be someone who will be like, put a bill in my tab.
You're going to buy what?
Like if I go to Mag and Bean, of course, like they practically have a little shop there. You can get tissue paper, you can get water, you can, you know, the usual supermarket stuff. You can get them from there, pads, wherever. Mm. If you shop there, sometimes there'll be someone who'll be like, I'm paying for this, you know? Or sometimes you're buying food.
They grab your basket.
Yes, or they tell the lady, like, put it in my tab.
And the women do they ask you, do the women ask you whether, are you okay with him paying? Are you okay with him paying?
Mostly rarely. And then you're like, after, for example, if it's put in their tab now, if you refuse to give them your phone number, they start getting, you know, irritated by you.
You want to take back the food.
Or sometimes you're working from the hostel.
Okay.
So, you know, there's also Kokito, there's Good Life, you know, there's the Mag and Bean still. You're walking and there's someone whistling at you, you know.
Calling.
Hey, come. They're in their cars, you know, calling you. And you're like, you look like a person who is married with kids. Why are you studying outside a hostel? Why are you being a predator? Because that's predatory behavior, you know? Because those kids are 18, 19, 20.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So why are you there?
I understand, you know, how it happens after the buying of the shopping. What happens after that? You give them the number. If you're a girl, you give them the number.
Or you can, of course, what is it called? Of course, it depends, you know, with someone's socialization, right? Yeah. Of course, there's sometimes when women, especially when you're a young girl, there's sometimes when you will do things out of fear. You'll even smile at men out of fear. Sometimes you'll smile at men out of fear. You'll give them the phone number, and then ukifika home, you'll block them, you know? Yes, or other times you'll be like, no, I have a boyfriend. If you want to, if you have the arrogance, you know, if I can always pay for my stuff. It's not, I did not come here without money, you know? You phone me shopping because I had the money.
Should you say no?
Yeah?
Should you say no when they ask when they ask to buy?
Again, what is it called? Again, yes, you can. Again, it goes down to a personal choice. You know, what is it called? You know, life is not as black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, sometimes there are people who, like, someone keeps insisting and, you know, and it's in public and...
You just want to go.
You just want to go. So, yeah, like, these issues are usually very complex, you know. And again, I told you, sometimes it depends. You know, there's an assertiveness you get as a woman as you grow older. Like, even when I was 19, I was a very meek person. I was scared, you know. I was, like, I could even be sexually harassed and, you know, like when men sexually harass you in matatus, and, you know, you keep pushing their hand away, they're touching you, but, you know, you keep pushing their hand away, they put it back again. But now, you know, when you are a young woman who is 18, 19, 20, sometimes you feel like if you bring attention to yourself by screaming, you know, people will be looking at you. Like, I don't know if it's how we have been socialized as women. We sometimes take on shame. We're being sexually harassed, but, you know, it's you. You don't realize that it's the other person who should be feeling the shame, right? But now, you know, right now, as a woman in my mid-20s, you know, if someone is touching me inappropriately, I will not just push their hand away and, you know, keep quiet and, you know, keep playing the game. No, I will shout for everyone to hear. Wacha kila mtu atuangalie sasa. And, you know, like, you realize, like, men respond very well to social shame, you know? When you be like, why are you touching me? Mbona unishikashika? And now everybody looks at them. They pretend they weren't doing anything, and you travel safely and comfortably. But those are things you learn as you get older as a woman. You know, you are never released into the world knowing them. Yeah, you're always a little bit scared, of bringing the attention to yourself, you know, such things.
It was such a wonderful time having this conversation with you, you know. What are you up to now? How do people get you online when they want to read your Substack things and Facebook? How do they, you know, if when you, apparently La Patrona is a very huge word out there, and there's so many movies that have been made out of it and so many films.
I believe on Facebook it's whatever, but my Substack is called 2020s.
Yeah.
Yes, it's called 2020s. Of which that's a whole separate thing, you know, what I write on Substack and what I write on Facebook.
Yeah, I thought they were very different.
Yes. Yeah, it's
and
different.
You're almost 1,000 subscribers on Substack.
Yes. Yeah, I started it a month ago, I believe.
A month ago?
Yeah.
And how come you have so many subscribers? They're coming from Facebook.
My friends, you know, like when my friends repost, their friends want to see. Yeah, but yes, I believe, like, in my Substack, I do not try to be sensational, you know. Yeah, like, that's my, it's my little corner of the internet where I allow myself to explore things with more depth.
Okay.
You know, because I also want to do, what is it called? I'm also learning how to be an essay writer, you know.
Writer.
Yes, so you know, you learn how to write by writing, you know. So so my Substack, that's for, it's something I'm still exploring, you know. Yes, so they can always find me on Facebook, La Patrona, on Instagram, Miss Patrona. I share a lot of my Substack posts on Instagram. So yeah.
Thank you very much for coming to Dialogues with Jagero. I've been meaning to have you here for some time,
Oh, yeah, I remember.
You remember I asked you that I wanted you to be here, then ukanichanga kidogo kwenda huko Meru. So thank you very much, people of the internet, that is La Patrona and myself. Please consider subscribing to this channel. We are barreling down to 100,000 subscribers, and I'm hoping that you are watching and you haven't subscribed. Please do subscribe, so that we are going to be having a party sometimes in August about, you know, receiving that silver, 100,000 from YouTube. So until another episode, bye for now.